morning, everyone. I made that too low. So I got some announcements. It's kind of becoming a routine. Yeah, I got one fan. The first announcement I have is Art is Activism is happening tonight. It's being hosted by BSO and SDC. So this is gonna be it's gonna be a sweet event where you can come, and it's in Tabor Grind at 6:30. It'll probably run an hour or a little more as long as we're there. So there's gonna be poetry, spoken word, visual art. There might be some dance. So yeah, come on out, Tabor Grind, 6:30. Another announcement, Mardi Gras is going through the end of the week now. So there was a lot of donations that came in Tuesday. So thank you everyone who donated stuff, but they're collecting items through the end of the week. So you still have time to drop them off in the bookstore. CAB is hosting a video game night that's gonna be tomorrow from 5 to 8. It's gonna be in the cafeteria. They're setting up a bunch of game systems on the projectors in those 3 rooms that are right by the cafeteria. So that's gonna be a ton of fun. You should check that out. There's tons of game systems. I heard there might be an N64, and yeah, it's gonna be sweet. So, and that's just me being old school. So the drama department still needs ushers. So if you wanna usher and see the play for free, do it. It's gonna be sweet. Yeah, it's a musical. It's called the Spitfire Grill, and I've heard it's really good. So that's gonna be happening the first couple weekends in March. And so get in contact with either Sydney Davey or Adrian Alexander if you are interested in ushering. And if you're not, just go see the play. Dub Puff is having a dog competition, which is gonna be sweet, out on the lawn this Saturday. So if you like dogs in any way, or like Frisbee or people, or the sun, you should go to that. And that's gonna be from 3 to 5 on Saturday. So there's gonna be tons of prizes, music, and just great fun had by all. You guys should have gotten an email from Campus Safety, and so that's about these trainings that are coming up next week. They're going to further the conversation that we kind of started last week of how we prepare ourselves for these events that can take place. So those trainings are going to be in EGVET 203. One is February 24th, which I believe is Tuesday. Yeah, February 24th at 11:30 a.m., and then the next one is February 25th at 6 p.m. So if you can attend one of those, that'd be awesome. You can just learn more about what's going on in that realm of things. The last announcement, or 2 more announcements, is Humans vs. Zombies is happening. So there's an informational meeting, which if you haven't heard of that, you should just come to the informational meeting. Wednesday, February 25th is that. I don't have a time, but 9 p.m. is the time. So yeah, it's a lot like, if you've heard of the SOC game, it's like that. If you haven't heard of the SOC game, it's a lot like that. So you should come to the informational meeting. It's gonna be good. And then my last announcement that I have is Improv Nights is happening. Get in contact with my man Jordan Shellmeyer. He's gonna be down at lunch taking signups. It's all about comedy and improv and theater this month. So yeah, that's gonna be sweet. It's happening next Wednesday. So that's all I got.
Hey, Warner. Okay, so as I've been up here several times before, the Center for Teaching and Learning is hiring peer mentors for the coming year. We're looking for 20 upper class students who can come and just work with our freshmen. Every freshman who comes into Warner has a peer mentor who works with them, has their back, and that's really crucial to who we are as an institution. And this is a paid full-time, or not full-time, full-year position. Looks great on a resume. It'll build you real professional skills. I mean, mentoring is a great thing to have. It's a real career field. It's great to be a part of. And it's just very fulfilling. So I just encourage you to please apply. You can apply at warnerpacific.edu/peer mentor application. You can email me at berwin@warnerpacific.edu. And just if you have any questions at all, we're also having an open house event at EGVET 203. 7 p.m. on the 23rd. It'll just be all the current peer mentors showing up, and it'll be a fun night just to show you guys what peer mentoring is all about. So thank you. Have a nice time.
Amen. Let us read scripture. Can I have everybody stand as we read scripture together this morning? If you don't mind putting your breakfast burrito down for just a second. Let's read it together. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Amen.
Good morning. Good to see you this morning. I've been doing some research on Native American spirituality and leadership the last year, and I've learned a lot of things that I didn't expect to learn. One of the ways I've learned that is through silence. And I had the opportunity to meet Corey Greaves the end of last year. And Corey, he's coming. He just had to get something out of his car, so I have a couple minutes here, see? But we're on Indian time this morning, so it works out really nicely, right? I asked Corey if he could help me to find some elders to speak with about some of my research. And one of the responses that I got back from him is, really, nobody wants to talk to you. And it was a really interesting experience. And a white guy and a Christian and a researcher, those are three no-nos in some Native situations, because so often white people have so abused and used Native peoples that if this is another person coming to do that, we don't want you with us. The beauty was one wonderful elder did speak with me, Tom Black Eagle, and Corey did, and I had the lovely experience of listening to silence and listening to wisdom for that whole day that I was with him. So I want to just talk about Corey for a second. Corey has a ministry called Mending Wings, and he works with Native youth on the Yakima Reservation up in central Washington, and he does some really, really, really good work. And I want to welcome him this morning to be with us. I'm going to read Deuteronomy, if you don't mind, Corey, real quickly. In a paraphrase version, it simply says this: Creator is like an eagle hovering over his people, overshadowing the youth, spreading his wings, lifting them into the air, teaching them to fly. This is the word of the Lord. Corey?
So can I use this here? So I would say, Shachmaitsky, Mishnamwa, Nashmaniksa Kwashkwash, Kupashtan Wiki, Corey Greaves. I don't know what I said either, but it sounded cool, so. So I say, we're going to have a good time this morning. So I said, good morning. How are you, Mishnamwa? So my Indian name, Niksha Hush Hush. And this is my English name, Corey Greaves. It's good to be here with you this morning. I forgot my drum and I had to run out to the car, and man, I got to the steps and I was like, that's what happens with fat guys, man. Fat for Jesus. So, I'm going to sing a song for you here in just a moment, but it really is good. I'm very honored to be here with you this morning. Met a young lady. We were talking to some kids, students out here, and met a young lady, and she's like, "Hey, are you Indian?" And I was like, "Yes." She goes, "Oh." Turned around and walked away, and I was like, "Is that okay?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do I have to get off this land?" I'm just teasing you. Where you at? She was pretty cool. I don't know. Some people are straight-faced, like that's not funny. So it's funny. So I get the opportunity to go to a lot of, meet a lot of people, talk in a lot of different places, and I love the new faces and new people that I meet. I'm really bad. I'm super like ADHD, right? Squirrel. So I'm really bad at that. So I can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, but I always remember faces, but names I'm really bad. So forgive me if I met you or I will meet you and I forget your name. So it's just because I'm ADHD, that's it. By the way, if I get off track, is there any other ADHD people in here? Really? Oh, there's like half of you. All right, awesome. I want like 4 of you to come up here with me real quick. 4 of my ADHD brothers and sisters. Just come up here with me real quick, stand by my side. These are brave souls, look at. Now, you guys are going to help us with something, right? Because sometimes I do get off track. He's pointing at him. Sometimes I do get off track, right? So this is something that's really helpful. I don't know what it is about this, but it really draws me right back in. And I want you guys to tell me if this does, it just like tingle your senses, all right? So everybody put your hands up like this. No, not us. Put your hands up like that, and I want you, and you guys watch, all right? I want you to start going like this. Is that awesome or what, man? Tell me, is that not true? Is that cool or what? I don't know what it is. All right, thank you guys, appreciate it. I just wanted to show you it's not just me. There's just something about that, man. So if you think I'm getting off track, just start going like that, all right? So it's cool. So I meet a lot of people. They have, they have a lot of ideas about Indian people, right? So we have something like 563 nations or some distinct tribes, cultures, languages. You know, we can't clump us all in together and say we're Indian, but people got like lots of different ideas about us. So, like how many of you in here have been to a powwow? Oh, really? Okay, a number of you. Yeah, okay. So how many of you danced at a powwow? Did you back there? You're like, I'm not sure if it was called dancing. Okay, all right, good. So, dare I ask it, sometimes I'm really surprised at where people learn their knowledge about Indian people, right? Like Twilight. How many Twilight? Be honest. Twilight fans, raise your hand, just be honest. This is 2 people brave enough. All right, look at, you're all proud of it. Team Jacob. Guys, I gotta break it to you, man. Most of us do not have 6-packs. And we don't turn into wolves, and it's more like little bunnies. Yeah, don't learn from Twilight. Dances with Wolves, throw that movie out. And John Wayne, just stop, all right? So, that's all I got to say about that. So my father, man, he's a loud, boisterous Irish guy, right? And click-a-tapped. My mother is a quiet, reserved Blackfeet woman, right? Which explains why I'm nearly schizophrenic. So you'll see some of that come out. So how many of you watched the movie Pocahontas? Oh, anybody sing a song from that? Anybody sing a song? Paint with all the colors of the wind. Who's doing that? You're fired. All right. I don't know if you work here, but you won't ever have a job. So it's good to be. Can we go to that first? I'm not sure if that's the one I want yet, but I'll just stick there for just a second. Thank you. Thank you for running this, by the way. What's your name again? Sierra. Sierra is awesome. Please give Sierra a hand. I appreciate you. So, tell you, how many have heard of Sweat Lodge? Ever heard of a sweat lodge? Okay. Anybody ever sweated in here? In a sweat lodge? I'm not talking about like. All right. So I got to tell you a little something about sweat lodges. So, so most of our tribes, most of our peoples, they go in head first, and you sweat naked. I'm not going to tell you all kinds of things about the sweat lodge, but it's a place to pray and to get vision and whatnot. But most go in head first, right? And you sweat naked, right? Nez Perce, my Nez Perce friends, they go in butt first, like this, right? So me and this buddy of mine, Yakima, a buddy of mine, we were getting ready to sweat with this Nez Perce friend of ours, right? And so, excuse me, this little Brittany or Britney Spears' mic is awesome. Or Janet Jackson, is that what we called it? So, this is the time to go like this. So anyway, we were sitting, we were getting ready for our first round, and we were talking, and the guy outside's getting the sweat rocks ready, and so as we were talking, I didn't notice it because I see it all the time. This buddy of mine, he was over here playing with his ear, right? He's doing like this. Finally, that Nez Perce guy, his name's Kamsawai. I said, Kamsawai, what are you doing? Keep playing with your ear. And he says, oh, I'm a modern day Indian. See, I got a chip in my ear, and I'm checking my voicemails. Wow, it's amazing. Well, by that time, he was looking at me now, and I was doing this. He's like, Corey, Kush, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm a modern day Indian too. I got a chip in my eye, and I'm checking my emails. Wow, it's amazing. So then he says, hey, man, I got to use the bathroom before we go. And so we showed him up by the longhouse where it's at. So he comes back like 20, 30 minutes later. So we kind of knew what number he was doing. And he comes back in, and like good Nez Perce people do, he's coming in butt first. And it was my buddy who noticed it first. He goes, Corey, look, he's a modern day Indian too. He's got a fax coming in. So, how much time do I have left? I got 20 minutes. This is awesome. So as an indigenous person who is relationally driven and not time-oriented, I will do my best to run white man's time this morning and not Indian time, okay? So because of the time constraints, I can only begin to scratch the surface of some things that I want to share with you this morning, and that is the dismal failure of short-term mission trips among our people and the need for a paradigm shift. And I can only tell you our story this morning and trust that you are all wise enough and perceptive enough to translate our story into your realities of how we as human beings and followers of the Jesus way practice missions. So I invite your story to intertwine with my story this morning, and hope together that we will learn from one another. So I come to you this morning only as a common man. So I'm not a chief. Somebody said, hey, what's up, chief? I'm not a chief. I'm not a tribal leader, nor do I speak for all Indian people. All right? I'm only a pitiful human being who follows the path of beauty that we call the Jesus way. So as a common man, I want to welcome all of you to our land. If there's anybody here that's visiting from other lands, we welcome you as special and honored guests. So if this event was back home, we would welcome you in a formal way with food and gifts and songs. So I apologize, I only offer words of welcome this morning and to share a song with you. So every time that I pull out this drum, people get nervous. They think, oh, it's one of those pagan Indian drums. But I want to put you all to rest. This is a Christian drum because it's Yamaha right on the back of it. So glad some of you got that. So, it's made in Japan. Kept me dead in my name, Don Dilio no de nega masto, Kima witane. Kept me dead in my name, Don Willabit to de nega masto, Tabahunda duk dende. Abahunda duk dende da agitu di gelegalo kibula sentamu hey 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 hey, hi, Yahweh, oh, hey, hi, hey, oh. So as we talk this morning for the next couple of minutes about short-term mission trips, first thing I need to do, this is what our elders teach us to do. We don't come in an arrogant way expecting that you want to hear what we have to say. When we come to teach, whether it's to little ones or to old ones, anyone in between, we are to ask permission to teach you. And so in abiding by that protocol that my elders have taught me, I ask you this morning, may I teach you? I asked my elder, I said, what if they say no? She said, then you ask them, why are you here then? So as we talk about short-term youth mission trips and the need for a paradigm shift, and more specifically, as we look at 4 centuries of missional work among our native people, where less than 3% claim to be followers of the Jesus way, so not a very good return on 500 years worth of effort, we have to start at the beginning. And so what better place than to start than to talk about this guy? Can you go to the next one? So who's this? And please don't say Jesus. It's like the Sunday school answer, right? If you don't know the answer, a Sunday school teacher asks you, just say Jesus, get some candy, right? So who is this? Chris Columbus, right. So in 1492, all I got to do is just leave that out there for just enough time and people will finish that. So in 1492, when we discovered old Chris out there floating around and lost in the Caribbean, and we took him in and we nursed him back to health and we gave him some fresh water and some bananas and some Havana cigars and we sent him on home. Next one. There were approximately 150 million native people in Western North America. So 400 years later, there's about 230,000 of us left. So 150 million to 200,000 is one of the greatest examples of cultural genocide or ethnic cleansing in the history of the world. And all of that took place right here in the good old US of A, and oftentimes with the direction and the blessing of the church. So Christianity has never really been good news to us as native people. So the way the gospel came to our people is you guys are sinners and you're involved in paganism and witchcraft and you worship demons and your drums are of the devil and your dances are of the devil. And so in order for you to be a good Christian, you need to, cut your hair and learn the guitar and learn the piano, stop your dancing so that you can be good Christians. And along with that, learn our language, learn our culture, etc. So Christianity has really never been good news to us as native people. So we come through on what some people think is the other side of colonial Christianity, and we say, thank God those days are gone. Well, my question is, are those days really gone? Or does the theology of manifest destiny still rear its ugly head? So I think I have a picture, a painting. Nope. Go back up, please. So I'll just have to explain it to you. My apologies. I went to Leavenworth, Washington. Anybody ever been there? A little Bavarian village. So I like art. So I went to this art store, and there was this painting by a modern-day artist, and it shows Jesus standing on the White House steps, and he's surrounded by all the presidents of the past, and there's I think there's one black guy in there, and no natives at all. And Jesus is holding the Declaration of Independence, and he's pointing at it like this. What that screamed to me is, my name's Jesus, and I approve of this message, That's manifest destiny in a modern form, man. I want to suggest to you that ain't gone yet. That idea is not gone yet. So the way I was taught in reference to my native cultures, I was informed that the Bible said some things about it. So it said, touch not the unclean thing. Or come out from among them and be separate. Or what fellowship does light have with darkness? Or when you are in Christ, all the old has passed away. Behold, all things have become white, or new. This meant, what I was taught, is that I needed to leave my Indian ways behind me because now I had a new identity in Christ, and it was not Indian. So the Bible has been used to demonize just about everything important to our cultural sense of being one with God and with nature, creation. So while Yeshua found me, the church began to lose me. And sadly, the prevailing worldview assumptions of the European immigrants, we had bad immigration laws too. Nobody got that. Thank you. Not only lingers on today, but it's kind of morphed into this distinct cultural Christianized bias against native and indigenous culture and ways. So we're still in the midst of this replacement-oriented theology in missions that says, we're Christian, you are not. Therefore, everything we do is Christian, everything you do is not Christian. And so in order for you to become a Christian, all that you are must be replaced. And so the obvious culture of replacement has been Euro-American. So replacement-oriented theology kind of looks like this. So we have a program, or we have a native youth organization called Mending Wings. So back on my res, Yakima Nation. And so we have several different programs under that umbrella of Mending Wings. One of those is called Dancing Our Prayers. So we travel all over the country with our youth, and they share spirituality and culture, and they drum and they dance and they do drama, and it's really cool. I love to see our kids doing that stuff. There are some churches that will not let us darken the door of their building because we have those Indian drums and those Indian feathers. I did not know we grew feathers. Those are hawk, or those are eagle. Those are not turkey. Those are not Indian feathers. Please don't ever say that. We do not grow feathers. So they won't let us darken it. So I got to thinking about that one day, and so we don't have a drum set up here. How many of you go to a church somewhere that have like a worship band? Anybody? All right, several of you. Okay. So let's set a scenario. Work with me here. So let's say you got a drummer that's like at your church worship band that's like 50 years old, all right? So he thinks his name's Bob. And Bob thinks he's still a young buck. So on Saturday night, he goes out to play some b-ball with some teens. So he's out in the res and he's doing through the legs and doing all this stuff. Or he thinks he's awesome. And then he sees an opening. It's like the kids have parted, like the Red Sea. And it's slow motion. You like that? And he goes for the layup. Oh, and he twists his ankle and he learns white men can't jump. And kind of leans back and the kids are like, what's wrong? And they're laughing. He's like, nothing, man. I got to get home for dinner. And goes home, but his ankle swells up. He's got to go to the hospital. He breaks his ankle, and so he has to get this big cast on his right foot. So he comes into church the next morning. He's just worried. He's like, how am I going to play that drum? Because I need this foot to play that bass drum. So he's scratching his head. So he gets an idea. He takes that big bass drum and he pulls it out from underneath the Zildjian cymbals. Then he flips it on its side. Gets a chair. Then he goes outside and he gets a stick. He rips off some of his shirt and wraps it around the end of that stick. And he comes back and he sits. And he says, maybe I can worship like this. Hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. He calls 3 or 4 others. Hey, Go get a stick and rip your shirt off too. And they come and they gather around the drum and they all begin to worship. Why are we told that that's pagan? That's not Christian. That has no place in the church. But if I take that bass drum, if Bob takes it and he puts it back up on its side and pushes it back underneath the Zildjian cymbal, oh, it is holy once more. How come you can have two Finnish businessmen, those are people from Finland in case you didn't know, and they can go into a sauna and they can sweat and they can sing, oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing. And they can pray and ask God for vision and the future of their business. And we say, God's in that. But you get two native men or two native women who go into that sweat lodge head first. And they begin to pray. And they begin to sing songs of worship. And they begin to ask Creator for vision. Why are we told that that's not Christian? Who gets to call those shots? When missionaries and churches and mission trip groups treat us like that, that tells us that they do not value us. They don't value our ceremonies, our family values, our languages, our dances, our songs, our customs, certainly not our theologies. It's as if we're told, Jesus loves you, but he doesn't like you a lot. But he does like us, so this is how to do it. I actually looked over, I saw a squirrel. I was like, there it is. Quick. If you look at a thing and you cannot identify any sense of value in it, then you can get along without it. You cannot see how it will in some way benefit or add value to your life. So the Euro-North American expression of Christ and his kingdom has said to the native North expression of Christ and his kingdom, we don't need you. You have nothing of value to give us. You can add nothing of benefit to us. But we, in turn, have everything of value to give you. So here we are on our mission trip. And this plays out heavily in summer youth mission trips. So this said, often unsaid teaching has created and only reinforces this benefactor, beneficiary paradigm in the church. So we exist in the minds and the policies and the attitudes of the American church as the perpetual mission field. Needy recipients, marginalized, unreached peoples. All that missions language crap that we throw around so flippantly. We're still bound by a benefactor, beneficiary paradigm. So my good friend and my mentor, Atwa Richard Twiss. Richard used to hang out here a lot. Anybody knew my friend? So we say Atwa, which is a term of respect, because as he's journeyed on 2 years ago, he's our elder now. Because he knows things, he sees things that we don't. So we say Atwa Richard. So my friend told me a story. Can you go to the next slide? About a little town on his res in South Dakota called Mission, South Dakota. Appropriate name, because this is a town where there's less than like 500 people in it. But on just about any given week throughout the summer, you can find 600 youth and leaders from several different mission organizations who descend upon this little town to do mission work. And they'd paint houses, and they do VBSs and kids clubs, and they get a bunch of little kids to pray those magical words we call the sinner's prayer, the little mantra. And that was just 1 week. And there are 8 weeks of those mission trips. And so after a week, those 600 would leave, and then another 600 would arrive to clean up the same yards, paint the same houses, get the same kids saved all over again. Then after that week, another 600 would show up, and this goes on. And they take their pictures, and they put together their PowerPoints, and they go back to their churches and show their slideshow and say, look what we did. And they feel really good about themselves. Meanwhile, back in Mission, South Dakota, nothing has changed. These groups and these youth mission organizations never asked if they could come to that community, or never bothered to ask, what does your community need? They just showed up one day with their agendas and their twisted theology that said, Jesus said, go into all the world, therefore here we are. And that has not worked for 500 years. Why do we continue to think it will? You have to, at least on my res, among my people, you have to earn a place among us to be heard before you ever earn a place to speak. My guess would be this same sort of thing happens in mission trips to Russia and Haiti and the Congo and Mexico. Flakwi and minainuma. My relations, my relatives. I look around this room and you are my flakwi and minainuma. We don't have a word for cousins, but we say brothers, sisters, many of you, nephews, nieces. You are my relations. And so I plead with you as my relations. And I give you a challenge that this has got to stop. We got to change the way we think and practice missions. There have been groups who come to our reservation through mission organizations that carry with them this idea that they're here to save us poor Indians. We can't think that way. There's groups that come every single summer to the Yakima Nation and put on kids clubs and VBSs whose youth and adults. I remember one story. There was two little, I don't know, they're probably like 5, 6 years old, two little girls, little Indian girls. Man, they were just, their clothes were ripped, they were all dirty. It looked like they had been having a good time. And they come running up to the VBS, and I never forget this one young lady from one of these groups. Picked one of those little girls up. She's dusting her. Oh, you poor thing. I wish I could just take you home with me. And what that screamed loud and clear to me was that young lady thought that what she had to offer that little child was better than what we had to offer our child. Guys, that's called ethnocentrism, where you think your cultural ways are better than someone else's. By the way, every single one of us in here are ethnocentric, narrow-minded, and have limited vision. At Mending Wings, we have worked hard over many years to deconstruct Western missiology and theology. As my mentor would say, to rescue theology back from the cowboys. And have listened to our elders to come up with a better way. And we call it SLAM trips. It's just an acronym, students learning about missions. I just want to put a little plug in. We have summer internships. They're paid. We have year-long internships where you actually raise your own money to come out and then work a part-time job in our community. If that's of interest to you, come talk with me afterwards, or you guys call him Mr. Bill? Is that what you call him? Oh, no, Mr. Bill. So I want to leave you with 3 things to never do on a mission trip. And from my perspective, these are not just good ideas. They're essentials. Number 1, never, ever go on a mission trip to another culture unless you've been invited by somebody from that culture, or you've asked somebody from that culture to come. And I'm not talking about if there's some mission organization in another culture and they invite you. That's not what I'm talking about. You come humbly. That means you go and you say, Auntie, Uncle, could we work together? Is there anything that we could help with? And if they say no, you say, thank you, Auntie, I pray for you. Pray for the people. You've got to be okay with that. Boy, that's different than what we're taught, isn't it? Number 2, never come with the idea that these people need you. Because we don't need you. Or that you're going to come save somebody. You come to serve. And then lastly, never come with an open mouth. We say, Everybody say, Teach you some Yakima this morning. You open your mishma, your achashma. You open this. You don't come to teach until you come to learn. So, wrap that up. Again, encourage you to come if internship sounds interesting to you. Come and talk to me or Mr. Bill. I thank you. We actually don't have a word in our language for thank you. We say "chatlanu shamash," which means I'm happy. So I'm happy. Hey.
Thank you, Corey, for those words. You are free to leave if you need to leave. We're going to stay and follow up what Corey said with the song, "Take My Life and Let It Be Consecrated, Lord, to Thee."